Hello, hello. We're back again for another Other Ink Thursday, and I'm continuing my talking to the people who are the game industry people behind the game industry, behind the games or in front of the games, really, because you're out there playing the games with the people. So this week I have Jonathon Myhre, who is, current president of Nerd Louisville, like a chief GM over at Lurking Fears, owns his own publishing company, which we're going to talk about as well, and goes by Mr. Dragonbane on the internet, which may give you a hint as to his interests. So Jonathon, welcome so much to Other Ink Thursday.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
yeah. It's great. We were just joking just a second ago before I pushed record that like you were my ride to Gen Con, so like it's about 2 hours away, so that's like 4 hours at least that we spent talking to each other constantly,
I'd say
on the
at
way up
least,
and on the way back, and we also went to dinner on the way back, so that like that's like some extra time where we just
Yep.
continued to neither, neither one. It's not that we were like fighting to be the one talking, but we had a very effusive conversation. Um,
Well, I
so
mean, that's just what I do. I talk. One
well,
one thing that you didn't mention was that I
yeah.
also work in LARP. I am a LARP merchant. My exact job title is the office bard. So, by day I talk. By night I talk. There's not a moment that I don't talk. So,
Well, keep yourself hydrated and yeah, because we're gonna talk some more. At this time, people get to listen in. It's not just you and me in a car in the middle of Indiana somewhere.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so I want to start with your beginning in gaming because like and some of these questions like we already talked about this but like for the people, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Like because you seem to be like somebody who's like exploded onto the scene, right? You're like, oh, gaming exists, great, I'm gonna do all of it, right? But then like but maybe it goes back further than that, right? I mean, how,
I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. So, like, my gaming really started about a decade ago, like 10 years.
okay.
I was at a moment in my life where I was just learning how to do different things. I was learning what was out there, and I happened to come across Heroes. Unfortunately, Heroes is no longer there. For those that are listening, Hero Comics is a
Oh
place
yeah,
down in
yeah, right.
Louisville, Kentucky. That's where we are. But
Hmm.
yeah, I found my way to Heroes, and it just so happened to be that there was some gaming. There was a bunch
Just
of books,
had
and
to pick up the newest Batman, and then you turn around and you're like, what are all these other books? I mean, is it
well, I
really a
will
thing
say
like that?
Batman is the best out of all of them. I'll
Well,
throw that
I
out
mean,
there. But that's not we're not here for that.
look, we can sneak it in. Is there a Batman RPG? Okay, never mind. But like, I mean, was it really as like you got comics and you got magic cards. They sold a lot of magic cards down there. They had like the wooden cutouts or not wooden like cardboard cutouts of like Spider-Man or whatever. And
Yeah,
then they had role-playing games. Is it really
yeah.
just a matter of like what are these or is it
I mean, really, I mean that's honestly what it was. I mean, I played Magic years and years ago back in high school. I got out of that just because it was expensive, and here I am playing in another very expensive hobby. But no, yeah, I went to Heroes. I was just driving along. I used to live in the Highlands a long time ago, so I've seen it multiple times, but
sure?
I just happened to drive in and stop in, and I saw some people playing, Dungeons and Dragons, and I was like, what's that? Like I've heard of it, I knew of it,
Right.
but I didn't really know what it was.
Mm.
So, long story short, I started playing a little bit, just I think it was like once a month, that's very common for most players. They play like once a month. And I fell out of it for a couple years, and I got really heavy back into it 4 years ago where I started playing fifth edition and then Pathfinder 1E, 2E. And then from there I just really started exploding on the different systems. So,
So this is the funnel that I'm talking about. Like
oh
you're
yeah.
like, oh, I got one game, I got three games, and now you're like just the funnel just goes out and you're like playing so many different things.
Well, and I'm really thankful for Nerd Louisville. Like that's how I got to be introduced to
Mm.
so many different systems, to be honest. Back in the day, before I was the president, before I was anything with the organization, I was just a player. I just showed up. I went to Slur Your Roll once every now and then, played in a game, and I got introduced to, so many people, so many different systems. But I mean, honestly, I have to say Nerd Level is kind of the thing that helped me spring onto the map, because that's how I met, Matt McLeod was through Nerd Level.
Yeah. Yeah, so I get the people who are local, like this is deep local history or whatever, but like yeah, Slur Your Roll is it's RPGs on a Sunday night at a bar, and that's
Hmm.
why it's Slur Your Roll. And yeah, I used to come and play games. I played, my games there, Never Going Home, Wild Skies. I've played other people's games like Capers and um I brought what was the name of that one? I've even play tested some stuff for other people there, crowds. We did
Yeah.
200 word RPG night down there too. So anyway, yeah, Slurry Roll, local event.
Yep.
People come like 5 or 6
Once a
tables.
month, every other Sunday, the second and the fourth Sunday, just throwing it out there.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. And it's been a while since I've been down to run a game, but every time I talk to you, I'm like, "Ah, I should sign up again." But the
Well, we know how life goes, so it's okay. It's okay.
sure. So anyway, so that's the way in. And then of course Matt McLeod's there, he's running games.
Mhm.
Did he's like, hey, I mean, did you when you were playing, what was the sort of like invitation then to become a GM? Because that's kind of like the thing you kind of do a lot. You're famous for it now. I don't know if you're internet famous. Are you even internet famous? Are you, you're known. You're known in the sphere as somebody who
So
runs games, but like what was that? How many times did you have to play? What was the invitation? Like what was that like
it was
to get
always
you
on the
to the take the head
background.
of the table?
It was always in the background. I mean, I've always written stories when I was in
Mhm.
middle school and high school. I was very creative. I always had like so fun fact, in high school, and I got an A+ on this. I wrote a 45-page story about how Goldilocks fought the three bears. I've been a creator my entire life. So when I started playing D&D, when I started playing, getting into the tabletop role-playing games, it was just like, my mind exploded. And I was like, this is what I need to do. This is where I need to be. So yeah, the game master part just came natural.
Sure. That's I love that because that's sort of like the yeah, it's like it's almost like the passion, the desire, whatever was waiting for this outlet, right? And then it's like, oh, this is great. I don't have to write 45 pages. I've got somebody else's notes already, and I get to be the bears, and they're all the Goldilocks at the table, and come at me.
Yeah.
Um, uh, well, so that's yeah, that has to come back in some way. You got to put a adventure out about that one.
Ironically, I still have a handful of things from high school. I'll see if I can't find that and see what I can do with it.
Yeah, yeah. Module that up into something um for Vassin or Dragonbane or something.
Yeah, for
Um
sure, for sure.
so okay, so you met Matt McLeod, and then I assume I can because he was on the show like a couple weeks ago, and so
I
like
know, I watched the video. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm sure that it was like, oh, we talked a little bit in that video about his vetting process or whatever. So like I'm sure like, oh, Jonathan knows what he's doing. Great. Come to Origins, do some cons. Is it like that's the next step for that? Is like you being at the cons and go um doing that, or did it come to is that
How did it go from there?
well,
Yeah.
yeah, what's the next step after? Okay, so you're at Slur Your Roll, you try
Correct.
GMing, then you
Correct.
start going to cons with Lurking Fears, or is there another step in there?
Well, so I was about to start my process of being a GM way back before COVID, but then COVID hit.
Hmm.
And then I just got out of gaming for a while, got into a relationship, and after that fell through, I was like, what do I want to do? What is me?
Mm.
And I got back into gaming. Um, but yeah, that's I started running games. I started becoming an actual game master at Nerd Louisville events, and that's where I met Matt McLeod. And with the amount of games that I was running, Matt had looked at me and said, "Hey, would you want to come run at a con?" And I've always wanted to be at a convention. I always wanted to go to a convention. So I was like, heck yeah, yeah, let's do this. Sign me up. How do I how what's the process? What do I need to do? I was
Right,
a
right.
noob. I still think I'm a noob at this point, truly. Don't tell anybody, but but yeah, I went to a couple small cons with him. I went to Lexicon,
Mm.
and then I jumped straight into Origins. So, like you said in the beginning, I exploded very quickly where I just jumped straight into the deep end, hoping I could roll, a 20 for those that play roll high
Yeah,
games.
roll high games. You want to roll a
Um,
20.
I just kind of like went for it, and I rolled a 20, thankfully. So.
Yeah. And so like what is that? What was that then? If you want to let's continue the metaphor a little bit then. Like what was that rolling a 20? Like what's the like to go
Oh, I ran 40
to
hours at
a
Origins.
con? Like you 40 for your first con at Origins, you ran 40 hours of games?
Yeah.
That's I mean, that's like a lot of games. That's a lot of games.
Yeah.
That's
I
not
mean,
rolling 120. That's rolling like a series of successes. That's intense.
yeah, I mean, the dice gods are with me.
Mm,
No, like, for those that don't know, Origins Convention, or Origins Game Fair,
Origins
it's
Game Fair.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I didn't run anything on Wednesday, and this was last year, by the way. This was 2023.
All right, all right.
I didn't run anything on Wednesday, but I ran pretty much nonstop from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then, a couple more on Sunday.
Right.
And this is why I run so much at conventions, because the forever GMs are the ones that are typically the players at conventions, because
Mm,
they're always running for their home group, they're running at the game shop, they're running online, they're doing this, they're doing that. They never get a chance to play, and I always have forever GM sitting at my table. So the more I can run, more I can help them.
yeah. I love that because that's sort of like, yeah, I mean, many of the people that I think Lurking Fears pulls in are sort of already the forever GMs anyway, you know. So yeah, that's great to get that I don't know, give back to the community that way or whatever. Like, like hey, like you guys are on vacation, I'll be your GM.
Yeah.
That's a great way. So I mean, that's a real so I was thinking like, okay, this is like 2022 or something like this you were like this is like I don't know what we're 14 months into the era of Mr. Dragonbane, right? So okay, so
Yeah.
this is all happening with I assume these 10 games that you're running 40 hours or whatever. That's like all Dragonbane pretty much
It was
last year,
all
right?
Dragonbane, and Dragonbane hadn't even been fully released yet. It hadn't been
Right.
released until August 15th of last year. So I was, 4 months early running just the alpha, the beta, of the PDF. But by that time, I had already ran like 100 hours of Dragonbane by itself.
Yeah.
So,
Right. I want to ask you about like some of your pursuits of internet fame here. We got to talk about Dragonbane a little bit, but I'm
sure.
not sure which. I want to set up that you got to you just said 100 hours, but you got to last year 500 hours, right? That was your like I don't know, that was your self-imposed goal and or bargain with the devil or something like that. You have to tell me about that in a second here, but we
I
got
am no Jack Black, but I guess I did make a bargain with the devil. I don't know.
what's Charlie somebody, something about a fiddle. Anyway,
Yeah.
but I'm asking, so like, why Dragonbane? Why did that click in for you? Like, what was like
I
that you
was
were so
looking.
excited to run the alpha? Because I've seen your big printout. You printed it all out. You went
Oh
to the
yeah.
copy shop and you
Yep.
had a book, like you said, before the book was available.
Mhm.
But what captured you about Dragonbane in that way?
I was looking for a new system to run. honestly. I had been a GM or well, a dungeon master prior. I was running a lot of 5e, and I was just looking for a new system, something fresh, something new, something with unknown territory, to be honest. And the artwork is what originally sold me. Johan, who does a lot of the artwork for Dragonbane, well, for a lot of the Free League Publishing games, it was just gorgeous artwork. And once I dived into the quick start, I was like how you watch in the movies, like the book opens up, the light spills out of the book, and it's just like, ah, like that was my moment. I realized like this is the system that I want to run, and it just rolled from there. I mean, I spread it through my home game. I spread it through, here in Louisville. Just trying to spread the gospel, my friend.
Right, right. Right. So when did you assign yourself this or were you assigned the moniker
Oh no,
Mr.
they called
Dragonbane?
me. Yeah. So I was the only one running Dragonbane at Origins last year. So 10 games out of, multiple hundreds of games.
Sure.
And this was Friday. So I already ran 3 games on Thursday, and I had ran my first game on Friday. I was on my way to the vendor hall to go check something out real quick because like the game ended a little bit early, so I had a little bit of time. And on my way, somebody stopped me, and they were like, "Hey, are you Mr. Dragonbane?" And I was like, what? And they're like, you're the guy running all the Dragonbane. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, that's me. And because of that, I was like, hmm, Mr. Dragonbane. Okay,
It's a
yeah.
title I could get used to.
Yeah. I mean, and it kind of just spiraled from there because I finished the 10 games, and then there was a month and a half lapse in between Gen Con of last year. And that's where I met Tomas from Free League Publishing. And the very first thing he says to me is like, "Oh, hey, you're Mr. Dragonbane," and when he walked up to me and was
When,
like, "Hey, you're Mr. Dragonbane," I was like, "Okay, I got to take the title now. I got it.
oh,
Like that
right, right.
seals the deal."
You're internationally recognized as Mr. Dragonbane.
I guess, yeah, it's crazy.
So, and then, so like, when did you decide that you had to run 500 hours of it? Or were you just looking at it and you were like, I think I could get there. I want to challenge myself. Or is it like, is it just, it worked out that way? Like,
It just worked out that way. I mean, in all honesty, I was tracking how many sessions I was running. And that was specifically for me. That was just so that way I could see like what scenarios I was running the most, which
mhm.
adventures people liked the most. And then it got to a point where I was like, holy cow, I'm almost at 500 hours. That's pretty substantial. Like I said earlier, most people only play like once, maybe twice a month. I'm sitting here running Dragonbane like 3 or 4 times a week and not even realizing that I'm approaching the 500 hours. So yeah, I ended up running 504 hours, I think, total last year of Dragonbane, and that was only from like February 12th to the end of the year. So I only did it in like 11 months.
Yeah, I mean, well, only 11 months. I
Only,
mean,
yeah, you know. But I did actually run like 600 hours because I ran other systems. I ran some other stuff.
sure, sure.
I,
Uh,
I
I,
I just love to run games. That's just all it
yeah.
is. You
Well,
know.
I mean, it's, it's not, it's not about like the number necessarily, but I think it's like
No.
a, it's a measure of that excitement. Like
Yes.
it is and it's a notable thing, and you could, I don't know, you could put it on your resume or whatever, like that you did that. Um, it's just I don't know, it's just wild to me as somebody who, I play games and I run games on occasion, and I, write games and stuff like that, but I do not approach that kind of like that scale of like, I mean that's like a job to
Yeah.
like
Oh, that's 100% a job.
to
100.
like just to keep up, like, who am I going to play with next? Who am I going to play with next? Like, hey, did you know I could do this for you? And let me come over and show you, or like all that kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it is, I mean, you were talking about spreading the gospel or spreading the good word, right? I mean, that's kind of
Yeah.
like it does elevate beyond like hobby at that point where you're like, I gotta play with more people. I gotta spread the word, you know.
There's so many things that tabletop role playing games do. It helps with the creative thinking. It helps with actual like role playing. Like it helps people become something else to fight other things or work with other people. Like it creates teamwork. Like I actually used to work at a school and I ran the TTRPG club. And, I've run games for kids and I've actually taught, a 10-year-old how to play or run Dragonbane. I mean, kids were, little murder hobos, but they loved it, and that's something that you can teach anybody, and I don't know why more people don't do it, you know?
There's new people coming to the hobby all the time. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I think I mean, that's a whole other like sideline. Like, I don't know. There's a whole, I mean, I think there is still some stigma to it. I think there is like I think there is, it's a participatory entertainment medium. And I think a lot of people, I mean, not, I watch TV too, right? I mean, I don't even watch like so like I like really bad TV. I was just thinking earlier today about the knife making show. What's that one called? Forged in Fire. Like I will binge an entire season of Forged in Fire in one
I
day.
watched that with
Like,
my daughter. I
yeah,
love that show.
yeah. I mean, so like, but I don't have to participate, is what I'm saying. Like, it is
That's
very
true.
low energy on my part. Like, I can just turn it on, and they're gonna
Yeah.
explain to me the knife stuff, and they're gonna like show me how it's done, and they're gonna go, oh, and then I know what to be worried about whether the steel is gonna stick together. Like
Yeah.
it's very low effort to watch to consume media. Yeah, I mean, and some movies are like they have a complex story or whatever, and they want you to be more engaged. But then like role playing, I think it's so much further beyond that, because it's asking you to know really be engaged in the story and participate in the story. So
Yeah.
I can see why it's not for everyone, right? Because some people they just want to receive a story, and
Exactly.
um
And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to tell them a story.
right, right. But you need them to like, I don't know, participate. You decide whether to use your big axe now or whatever. I haven't played Dragonbane yet. I'm only thinking of the duck character.
The mallards, yes,
The
yes.
mallard, you got the mallard, and there was a dwarf. I'm thinking about the quick start. I read the quick start. There's a dwarf and an elf and probably a human and a duck person and a mallard. So, um, you know,
But with all that though, like I said, I was running at the conventions
sure,
and Matt he wanted to expand the lurking fears. And
mm,
that's how we kind of really connected was because of lurking fears.
sure,
Um, he asked I only live like 8 minutes from Matt. So, I mean really I'm only like 10 minutes from you just
yeah,
because
yeah,
I jump on and jump off.
sure.
But yeah, he needed
Louisville's
help.
not that big.
No, it's really not. And I mean, I'm right next to Expressway, so I can get anywhere I need to. But he needed help with lurking fears. So me, Chris, and Betty, we all jumped in, and with my passion, with my very expressive way of telling stories, and my patience, I have a lot of patience. I was gifted the title of Chief Game Master for Lurking Fears. So, as you had talked with Matt in one of the previous videos, I help vet a lot of the GMs. When we've got cons coming up and people are like, "Hey, we want to run games with you," they talk to me. We might talk through email a little bit. We might talk on the phone. We'll eventually do like a video call, but I typically have them run a game for me, or I'll jump into a session where they're running a game so I can see how
Yeah, yeah.
their mannerisms as a game master is, because we only want those that are passionate. We want those that are quality, top tier. Um, we don't want somebody just to walk up, tear the plastic off the book, and be like, "All right, let me read scenario A for you." It's
Right,
not what we
right, right,
want.
right, right.
So
Yeah, that's the right. I mean, that's the a less than ideal. That's a less than ideal situation. A less than
exactly.
ideal situation. Um, so Can I ask you, Jonathan, about one of your other attempts at fame, attempts at internet fame that you did last year? Um, so I have my dice in a little tackle. Oh, it's actually probably like a thread tray or something like that. It's a little
Yeah.
clippy box, and it's got the little dividers, and I put my dice for the different sections in there with
Yeah.
the little dividers. Like I got
It's
it at a
easy to
craft
grab out
store.
which dice you need.
Yeah, yeah, they're all right there. But many people have keep their dice in bags,
Yep.
and there's a certain liquor that comes in a bag,
Yeah.
and so it's inevitable almost that somebody's going to put, and it's a nice bag, nice little velvet bag,
They are great bags. They really
and
are. I give them
and
the
you
props.
and you put the dice in the bag, and then there it is at the table. So like but this was not enough for you. You're talking about being creative and trying to like get to bring your energy to things. So tell
Yeah.
me, you can use the real name if you want, whatever. It doesn't they're not a sponsor. And
I'm pretty
um
sure at this point everybody knows who we're talking about. So yes, I attempted for 100 days straight. I made a TikTok every single day trying to convince Crown Royal, the original dice bag company. They don't know it. They don't know it. But if you talk to any of the, older gamers and, the gamers that have been gaming since since D&D first came out, that was the original dice bag. That's the bag that everybody always had.
it
Um,
looks like something a wizard might have.
exactly. But yeah, for 100 days, I attempted to gain their acknowledgement, their attention in some way, and I realized after 100 days, because I was in some communication with them on day 100, I sent them all 100 videos, making sure they knew that I was doing this.
That's actually my favorite one is the last one where you're just scrolling through the huge like list of the uploaded videos that you loaded. That's actually my favorite of the series.
I mean, it honestly took me about 30 minutes to upload all the videos to them, and it only took like a minute for them to respond. And I'm sorry, but I don't know about you. It takes me a while to watch 100 videos. I'm just saying. So
Well,
I realized,
they only had to watch the most recent one because they've been watching the whole time, I'm sure.
the
So what was I mean, obviously this this
why.
this is kind of a goof, but like what were you asking? What were you were trying to become the what official GM or get a sponsorship? What were you
I
asking
was trying
for?
to get a sponsorship, to be honest. I mean, I'm going from convention to convention, game store to game store. I'm going all over. Why not find somebody that's willing to pay some gas money?
Mm,
Willing to help me purchase some more books. I mean, these books aren't cheap, but my bank account feels it every time another one hits. It's like, ooh,
sure.
But I was just really looking for a sponsor to help, help pave my way through some of the conventions.
And so I'm guessing that you did not secure a sponsorship from Crown Royal.
No, unfortunately, as a gamer, approaching an alcoholic
Yeah,
beverage company that does nothing with gaming, apparently they wanted nothing to do with it. So
yeah. I, so I mean, obviously, this is kind of it feels like a goof, right? You're doing it
yeah,
on TikTok and and
yeah.
and you're only half serious, but you're also like, I'm sure if somebody wanted you to like put make sure the dice bag is always visible at your game table. I mean, that's a whole opens a whole other thing. I mean, you're always willing to talk or whatever, but like what? This is the kind of like off I don't know, off-label
Out of
like
box thinking.
insanity. Yeah, the kind of out-of-box thinking that like I appreciate. And like I call this thing kind of thing shenanigans, right? I have a few
Oh,
friends that I know that are very into shenanigans. They're very good at it. I am at best a supporter of shenanigans. I'm not necessarily able to come up with them myself, but like this is top tier shenanigans. Like nobody's gonna get hurt by this really. I can't imagine. I can't conceive of somebody getting hurt by this process. And you're having a thing, you're generating interest, you're kind of building your own brand. Where does this was that what it is? Is it like just like you have this idea that you go for it? Is that kind of like that seems to be kind of how you operate, or is there something else in there that you're working with?
It was trying to find myself, I guess. It's trying to
Mm,
find who I could be, maybe. You know, it was just a worthwhile attempt.
sure.
Nobody had attempted it, so why not try to be the first? Why not try to garner that? It's that out of box thinking that's landed me in multiple places of success. So if I'm going for something again, I'm just jumping in the deep end. That's just
Right.
how I roll. No
Right.
pun intended.
What pun intended. Like, I mean, this we're talking about gaming here. We're
Yeah,
talking
exactly.
literally dice bags. So all right. Well, thanks for walking through that a little bit. I don't know if you've got any coda or anything to say about that. I mean, it's I yeah. So I have plenty more to talk to you about. Like
Oh yeah, please.
because you
You know
because
me.
you
I am not shy. I will
yeah,
talk.
yeah, you're talking about diving in. And so like that leads me to the next thing that I kind of want to talk about. And like I don't have like a plan to draw. We've put a bunch of threads on the table, and I don't know if we'll get around to drawing them together into like a cohesive thing by the end of this. But like
Yeah.
one of the other things that you do talking about jumping in is like you've also you've done publishing
Yep.
as like a
Somewhat
helping other
successful.
people bring their ideas to life, right?
Yep.
And so is that just part and parcel with this whole same thing? I mean, this is like, look, you've got a lot of excitement. You've got now some experience. You've got like a name. Let's bring everybody together. Let's push everybody forward. Everybody can do this. Like, my excitement will help you get excited and you can do the thing. And I mean, it seems of a piece, but then like maybe you've got other parts of it that do you see it as the logical next step or just another part of the puzzle? Like how do you see the publishing outfit side of what you're
It's
doing?
definitely a part of the puzzle. I've been a big reader since I was a kid. I mean, I love to read. It's blurred out, you can't see it, but I have a wall
Yeah.
full of bookshelves. And I have the bookshelves are deep. So I have books in front and books in back.
Hmm. Hmm.
I've got the books turned sideways, like they're crammed in there, but I love books. And I've always wanted to be an author. Like when I was young, I was like, I want to be an author. And then as you grow up, you realize that, hey, sometimes life doesn't give you the opportunity to work on your dream. I am working I am working in my dreams now, but, younger, I didn't have the opportunity really. And when I started running games, as a game master, and this is everybody. I know people who have like just a small, piece of paper full of notes that they run games on.
Hmm.
And I was like, why don't I do that? And the first one's always the hardest. The second one's always the hardest. The third one's the hard. It's always harder. It gets easier, but it's always harder at the same time.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
this.
uh Shoot. Yeah. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But I thought if I'm going to publish something and if I can create something that's 200, 300 pages, that's a nice novel. That's a decent sized book.
Oh yeah.
Why not try and put my effort into an adventure? So I took one adventure that I created, I wrote. I was actually, a little fun fact, I was like the second or third, I can't remember, to officially publish for Dragonbane as a third party before it was even released. Um, but no, I figured why not try to publish an adventure? Um, already had a business, the Midgard Press. I already had a business of my own that I created. I never really did anything with it, and I figured this is my time. This is my opportunity. So, using the Midgard Press, I wrote one. I uh, put a lot of heart into it, and there's still a lot of things that I want to do with it. The adventure that I published and the Midgard Press. But yeah, now I have a couple different adventures published. I got a couple supplements that are published. I've got, you can't see it, but my desk is littered with documents and pages of stuff, of reference and everything in between that I need to put onto paper so that way I can put more stuff out.
Awesome. So I guess I misunderstood. Like you're not like publishing other people's
Oh, I
adventures
am.
yet. Oh, you are?
Oh no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
So how many like what kind of I mean is it what kind of what's the range so far of like stuff that Midgard has put out?
Just Dragonbane for right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
It's just Dragonbane stuff. My friend Devin,
Working on a brand.
yeah, trying to. But yeah, my friend Devin, he's also on the board of Nerd Louisville, but he was in a similar spot where he was looking for new systems and stuff like that, and I had run Dragonbane for him a couple times. He fell in love with it as well. I think, and this is kind of a side note, I think it helps when you have a very passionate person running a game for you to fall in love with a system. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah. I mean
And I,
it doesn't hurt anything for sure.
oh gosh, no, it doesn't hurt anything. Uh, but after running several games for him, and he knew that I was publishing my own, we had sat down. We actually had a little meeting at a restaurant and just talked about, you know, gaming and writing and stuff. And he told me, he was like, he wants to do that. I was like, you should. And I fully, everybody listening, you are never too old, you are never too young.
Mm,
If you have something you want to put on paper and publish it, do it. But it's not easy, but do it.
yeah.
But yeah, he was like, I want to do that. I was like, you should. So he started writing, and he came back to me later on and he was like, hey, would you help me with this? Could I publish under your company? I was like, yes, by all means, let's do it. So right now we actually Castle Twilight. It's his adventure. It's already published. It's out there on Drive Through RPG. I'm finishing up the Swedish layout for the translated version, so that way, multi languages can read it. But yeah, I've got one other person with me that's publishing under the Midgard Press, so it's pretty exciting.
I mean, yeah, that's like I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, it is I mean, it's like not that it's sort of like there's a lot of again 5e is so much of the market, right? And so
Yeah,
like there's tons of publishers that's primarily what they do is they put out third party 5e content.
yeah,
Of very many of the mini companies, there's a
yeah,
wide range of quality between like all of the third party people. Some of it's great, some of it's like award winning or whatever, better than what WotC is doing or whatever. And some of it is not. But I think Dragonbane being obviously a much smaller slice of the
yes,
market, like there's probably
yes.
not a lot of competition right now for third-party Dragonbane content. Is that the case?
I
Or
mean, there's quite a bit out there, honestly.
okay.
I've even play tested. Funny enough, because I'm Mr. Dragonbane, I've had people reach out to me and say, "Hey, could you read through it? Tell me what you think. Could you play test this for me? See what you think." I've run multiple things for different people and given them my feedback. Like, I that's kind of cool by itself. Like,
Sure.
I
Absolutely.
I am by me just because I'm Mr. Dragonbane. I am not the de facto authority on the TTRPG. I
Hmm.
just have a love for the game and I run it more than anybody.
Uh, but like you're also like not you're in like an it seems like from my point of view, right? There's sort of this like I mean, Free League is there and there's like Thomas and he comes up on stage and he gets the Ennie award at the Ennies, but then like there's a close team of people around him and then they're all in Sweden, and then you've got like obviously there's lots of writers and lots of artists and layout people and people who are making the game and all the peripherals that go with the games and stuff like that. So the circle gets a little bit bigger. And then you've got like people like you that are sort of like, well, you're working at the Free League booth in North America and you're like selling the games and you're advocating for the game and you're creating your own third-party content. There's like this, it's like a diffuse, there's not a hard line, is what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
that there's not like, you know, um, and Morkborg has done this as well. And then, Free League is publishing Morkborg. And so it's like
Oh
it
yeah.
becomes even more like because Morkborg or Free League isn't Stockholm Cartel, but then Stockholm Cartel, like it's so diffuse. Like it's sort of like anybody can do the Morkborg thing, and many, many people have. So they're
Dragonborg?
drag. Hey, has it been done yet? I don't know. And even if it's been done, do it again. Yours will be different than theirs. But
Right.
I, I kind of like I'm almost rambling here, but like I feel like there is sort of like you say you're not official, but like you are on the pipeline, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're in the group, you're in one of the outer circles of official, right? Because it is sort of it's so Free League has been so good at like setting up like their third party content and their like yeah, across all of their things, like with
They're
Morkborg
very
and with
supportive of third-party content.
their zero day engine or year
Is
zero engine,
yeah,
that
year
thing. There's a
zero engine,
whole bunch of people that are working there, and then I mean it's a great system that they've got set up and for them because it does I think make people it brings people in, and then they can become creators. And once you've created some third party content, you're like only one email away from creating official content, like
don't tease me with a good thing, man. Don't tease me with a good thing, okay?
well,
Anybody listening,
I mean, I don't, I mean, that's how like a bunch of the people, like, I mean, this is just, again, this is like insider baseball or whatever. If you don't, I don't know, but like a lot of the people, not a lot, but like some of the people who contributed to the most recent Never Going Home stuff are people who've been fans and telling us that they're excited about the game for years. And so like they're the people who are like known to us that we haven't worked with yet. And they're like, oh, I really like your game. And like, I did this for it. And they're on our social media talking about it and stuff like that. And it's like, well, we need new writers. Obviously, you've put yourself here. Like, of course, we're going to talk to you first and see if you want to like contribute real, quote unquote, real content to the game. So, you know, from my point of view, that's like the way to do it, right? And so, you know, hopefully you get that email, right? You get called
Well,
up to
and I will
the
say,
next level.
my goal, like I said, is to spread the gospel of TTRPGs in general. That's my goal. And the more like if I create more party content, or if I help others publish more third party content, they may not like some random person may not actually see the game Dragonbane, but they might see something that I've published through the Midgar Press. And once they see that, they're like, oh, well, what is it's a supplement of Dragonbane. Well, what's
Mhm.
Dragonbane? That takes them there. Again, if I can help just spread the awareness, I've succeeded.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't make a lot of money really at all
I,
from publishing.
almost no one in publishing does, of any kind of publishing, magazine publishing, book publishing.
You know,
Nobody
I
makes a lot of money in
I
publishing.
make enough to, maybe buy a new book every now and then, or put, whatever, whatever. But the more that I can just spread the awareness of TTRPGs, that's my goal. That's my success right there.
Great. I'm going to pick up on that and we're going to transition to the last few minutes of this thing because
Sure.
we've talked about Nerd Louisville, but we haven't talked too
Yes.
much about it. So I want to hear about like, I mean, give us your campaign speech, right? Like as a fellow Louisville nerd, like what
Can
is,
you add the American flag waving in the background? I'm kind of
hey,
standing right
yeah,
here.
you've got the, you've got the banner, make your own background, the American flag. Uh, um, but like, so like what I'm saying is like, give us from where you are. I
Mhm.
mean, Nerd Louisville has been around for a long time.
It
It's
has.
gone through several different forms as its leadership has changed over the last, I don't even know, 10 years or so that it's been around.
Yeah.
And so you're currently, the mantle has been placed upon you.
It has.
And so what are your, what do you think of Nerd Louisville as, and what do you want to do in the coming year with your current term, you know?
Yeah.
And
So
and and I'm following on from like spread the gospel of TTRPGs. I mean, this is but Nerd Louisville has like a lot more to it, right? Because there's cosplayers and there's tons of board gamers and
exactly.
there's more to it than just the TTRPG. So like
Correct.
what do you see where it is right now and where do you want to take it? I guess is what I'm really asking.
So like I mentioned, I found Nerd Louisville through Heroes Comics. Um, I fell out through COVID, but then when I came back, when it came started to come back from COVID, I started out as just like an organizer for the Slur Your Roll events. Just helping the organization to post those. I wasn't like an official member or anything like that. I was just a fan. I was a nerd. And I was like, let me help with this. And around that time, there happened to be an opening within the board of directors for Nerd Louisville, because it's a 501(c)(3). It is nonprofit. We make no money off of this. We do this just simply out of our spare time that we have. If anybody knows me, I have no spare time, but I make the time somehow. Um, but it has a great mission, and the mission is to give back to the youth. When I was a kid, I was a big Final Fantasy VII nerd as a kid. I loved Pokemon. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh. I played Magic. I played other RPGs. If I would have gotten my hands on like a TTRPG when I was younger, we wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be Mr. Somebody else. I just happened to, fall in with the Mr. Dragonbane. But it's because of Nerd Louisville that I was able to start running more games. I was able to spread the awareness of TTRPGs. And when I came onto the board, I was vice president. And then just at December of this past year, I was elected to be the president. So but no, like my goal, we're trying to rebrand. We're trying to get back to our mission. We're trying to get back to the goal, which is give back to the community in any way we can. Because a nerd isn't just, a pocket protector and, taking extracurricular classes. A nerd is anybody who has a passion for something they love.
Hmm.
You could be a nerd in books. You could be a nerd in automotive care. You could be a nerd in being a doctor. If it's something you love, you're a nerd at it because you enjoy it so much. And that's what I want to spread, is that you don't have to play TTRPG games. You don't have to play Magic. You don't have to come and play video games. You just got to be a nerd. Just love something and come hang
Hmm.
out.
That's a that's a that's a great that's a great speech. That's a great speech right there.
Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you. I'm here all week.
right, exactly. So what are some of the I mean, we talked about Slur Your Roll. I know
Yes.
there's like Friday Night Gaming, there's
Yes.
like is it called it's is it still called Girls Nerd Out? It's for like, it's for women, but like it's
Yes.
called
Yes.
Girls Nerd Out.
Yeah.
Right? It's like I suppose it's like a girls' night out, but it's girls nerd out, right? That's the pun.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so yeah, we have Slur Your Roll. That is a twice a month at Kaiju here in Louisville. It's the second and fourth Sunday. We run TTRPGs in the back of a bar, and the bar itself is Kaiju. It's very nerd-esque anyways, because it's kaiju themed, where it's big monsters from Japan. We do the Friday night gaming. We do that Otaku, which is a Magna bar, which it's on Barstown Road here in Louisville. We are bringing back the Girls Nerd Out. We stopped doing it for a while just because we weren't getting much attention with it, but we're trying to bring it back. We actually just held a Young Questers event, and that's specifically aimed at the younger generation. We just held that at Otaku this past Saturday. We've got more coming, but we also have Tavern Talks. We've got one coming up in September. Tavern Talks is more of GMs getting together and talking about being a GM. Who has questions? Who has answers? How can we help other GMs be better GMs?
Yeah.
Because we all see something, we're like, ooh, that was pretty good. I want to take that. I want to use that. We all steal from each other in very polite ways, and I think it complements each other when we do that.
Right. Right.
But um, but yeah, we've got multiple events that we want to bring out and help the community by just running some games or talking nerdy stuff.
Well, that's yeah, it's lovely. I've been to, like I said, I mostly go to Slur. The in the but I saw the pictures of the most recent event at Otaku. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think like kids won like copies of games. Is that what they
Yeah,
like they came
we've
and they
had
did a
some
thing and
prizes
then
we were
they
giving out. So yeah,
yeah, awesome.
there is no official way to win D&D. Although
You
if
can
everybody's having fun, I think you win D&D.
yeah, right. But you could win a copy of D&D or a copy of something else like that. You could get
Right, right.
there's items. Yeah. Um, absolutely. Uh, all right. I mean, look, it's great. It's like, I think, like going to these big cities. Well, I mean, as we're recording right now, there's like PopCon is happening this
Yeah,
weekend, and
PopCon's
like
happening
some of
right now.
the,
Yeah.
I've seen some photos from there earlier today. I mean, it's happening this weekend, and like, I think Louisville has sort of like it seems like there should be a quote unquote enough nerds in Louisville that we can have some of these nice big events. Um, but
It's just a
then
matter of bringing them all together. That's really it.
right, it's something that I think the different forms of Nerd Louisville over all the years have and different events have happened and come and gone, right? Because it is sort of always like it seems like there should be enough people in Louisville to have one of these events, but then like they're not always super well attended. So like you think, but then we try, whatever. It's a challenge. And I assume you're well aware. I don't have to tell you about it, but like good luck to you in trying to like continue to solve that problem about like,
Appreciate
how
that.
to get the people to actually come to the events, right?
Any
You know,
prayers to the dice gods, I will happily take. I promise. I will happily take those.
right. And we've got like 2023, I think. We've mentioned Heroes a couple times and I
Mhm.
think 2023 Heroes and another game store in Louisville closed, but then like
Bluegrass Magic.
at
I
Louisville
will-
Comic Store or Louisville Game Store
Oh
Shop
yeah,
also
Little Game
closed.
Shop. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah.
So we lost several in 2023 and like but one came back at least one opened Golden Keep opened out in Westport Village. So like it's like we still have like a net loss of game stores in the region, I think. But you know, I don't know. Maybe they're all healthier
Well,
afterwards. I don't know.
thankfully we have Golden Keep. Thankfully we have Misos, and
Mhm.
thankfully we have Cardinal. Anytime I can help push people to a game shop, I always try. They need our love and support as well. Shop local, of course.
Of course. Yeah. We know Mason over at Cardinal. We work with Phil and Medina at Golden Keep closely. I have met the people from Misos.
Chris, yeah,
Uh their their uh their shop has a little bit different focus than exactly what we're up to. So but the other yeah, we meet these people. We know these people. These are local. This is all
yeah.
local. So yeah, whatever the local is where you are, wherever you're watching, go support local. But
Yes, yes.
um I don't know, like okay, so we can go back to the beginning here. I'm going to try and make like a closing statement here,
Okay,
like
okay.
what are we you're doing publishing stuff, you're running the local nerd events, you're playing a lot of Dragonbane, you're
Mm,
going to cons to play Dragonbane for other people. Like what sums up Jonathan Myhre? Like who is Mr. Dragonbane? Like you're doing all of these things, but what connects all the things that you're doing? I mean, you've kind of already said it, but just give us a summary of like
mm.
of who you
Well,
are.
Mr. Dragonbane likes long walks on the beach. His favorite color is purple. He drinks Pepsi more than he probably should.
All right, all right.
No, again, I'm just a simple guy that likes to run games. I happen to be tailored as a professional game master. Uh, in some instances, I get perks for being a professional game master, and I think that's pretty cool. I'm trying, as I mentioned earlier, we all have dreams, and my dream is to one day just be able to play games, run games all day long. I run free games, I run paid games. In fact, if you find me on startplaying.games, I could run one for you.
All right.
But no, like there's not a day goes by, a second of the day where I'm not thinking of some new adventure within my head. I see a movie, I'm like, that could be really cool. I haven't talked about that 40 something page document that I wrote back in high school, got an A+ about Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I forgot all about that till some memory clicked when we were talking.
Yeah.
I need to
Well,
I need to bring that
yeah,
back.
you're thinking about it now.
There's so many things I want to do, and unfortunately, there's just not enough time in the day.
Mm.
I probably sleep way less than I should, but it's because I have so much passion of everything that I want to do between helping new people run games with us, or help new people run games in general, or help somebody publish. Oh, actually, I'm so sorry. I also have some Candela Obscura stuff published because my
Ah,
friend Carissa, she is a big Candela Obscura fan from Darrington Press. Uh, I have third party stuff for that. I'm so sorry, Carissa, if you're watching this. You're probably not, but it's okay. Um, I'm just trying to spread the awareness. That's it.
yeah.
I want more people to play, and if that means I can run a game for them, I'll do it.
Well, there you go. I think that's a great sum up. So, before we get out of here, then tell
Yeah.
us some of the places that people can find you and your work and connect with you on
Oh,
the internet, right?
oh my
Like
gosh.
you've mentioned you're publishing, like you've got a
Yes.
website. Is Facebook the place? How can people get a hold of you? How can people request a game? How can people, how can people find you? What's
Okay.
your
So,
TikTok where they can watch all 100 videos where you're
yeah. Oh my gosh. I post some ridiculous stuff on there. So yes, let's see. You can find me on Facebook, Jonathon Myhre. You can find me Instagram as Mr. Dragonbane, TikTok as Mr. Dragonbane. Mr. Dragonbane's my moniker pretty much on every social media. If you look on startplaying.games, you can find me either as Jonathon or Mr. Dragonbane. If you want to run games with us professionally, get perks for doing that. You could find me at lurkingfears.com. And if you just want to maybe for $1 a day donate to those that wish to play and spread the awareness of nerds, you can find me at nerdlouisville.org. I am again the president, just trying to help spread the gospel. I'm sure there's other forms of media you could find me on, but I guess those are the ones I use the most. So,
Yeah, I mean that's a I think that's plenty. I think that's plenty.
yeah, yeah,
So you what you need to get together yourself a link tree and then you can put them all on the link tree
yeah. But
and
the
then
problem is, I've got like Nerd Louisville stuff, I've got Lurking Fear stuff, I've got my
it's
own
true.
stuff. It's hard to put it all on one because then you're just scrolling, and it's just like, oh my God, is this guy done yet? God, is he done
Well,
talking?
for anyone who's thinking that, I think we are about to wrap up. So,
Yes.
Jonathan, I want to thank you so much for your time today, tonight, to talk to me and talk about everything you're on about. And I, it's been great. It's been a pleasure to talk to you again. And this. We're only halfway home from Gen Con if we were to play this video, right? Um,
I mean, honestly, thank you for having me. I'm happy to spread and talk as much as possible about anything TTRPG related. So, we can always do this again if you want. But no, truly, thank you for having me. Truly.
well, it's been my pleasure, and we will definitely see you around town. And I want to thank all the viewers who've watched this video,
Yes.
thank you for watching. Tell us what your favorite local game store is in the comments so that we get that interaction, right? Like and subscribe. That's what I'm supposed to say. So you know
Yes.
how it
Yes. Do all
works.
the things
Yeah,
up
yeah,
here,
yeah.
there, down here. Yeah. Yeah.
Share and share alike. Thank you again for watching. Thank you, Jonathan. We'll see you around.